Known in ancient times as the Sushen and later as the Yilu, these people appeared in the northern and southern dynasties, Sui and Tang periods under the names Mohe and Malgal. Only after the fall of the kingdom of Balhae did they emerge prominently in history under the name Jurchen. Later, under the proclamation of Hong Taiji of the Qing Dynasty, the name Jurchen was officially replaced with Manchu. Today, however, the language, culture, and customs of the former Jurchens have all but disappeared. So where did the Jurchens go after the collapse of the Qing Dynasty? On February 12, 1912, Puyi, the last emperor of the Great Qing Empire that had once dominated Northeast Asia, issued his abdication edict. With that, Manchu rule came to an end after 296 years since Nurhaci founded the later Jin in 1616, and 276 years after the Manchus crossed Shanhai Pass to rule China proper. The empire's downfall did not happen overnight. Beginning in the late 19th century, the Qing faced mounting pressure from Western imperial powers, deep internal corruption, and the sweeping force of the Xinhai Revolution, whose rallying cry was overthrow the Manchus and restore Han rule. Miman Xinghan. The once formidable eight-banner army had lost its former glory, and behind the crimson walls of the Forbidden City lingered only the fading shadow of a dying empire. With the fall of the Qing Dynasty, the Manchus found themselves facing an existential threat. Fearing retaliation amid revolutionary fervor, they were forced to abandon an identity they had preserved for centuries simply to survive. The first symbol to disappear was the Manchu queue hairstyle. People hurriedly cut off their queues, exchanged their traditional Manchu robes for Han Chinese clothing, and most importantly, replaced their prestigious compound clan names with single-character Han surnames. The imperial clan name Ai Xingyoro became Jin, while Yehe Nara became Na. On paper, they quietly disappeared into the vast sea of China's Han population. In the 1930s, the Japanese-sponsored puppet state of Manchukuo brought the Manchus both a brief glimmer of hope and a lasting tragedy. Attempts by some to revive their former glory ultimately left them branded after World War II as collaborators with Japan. Following the establishment of the People's Republic of China and the outbreak of the Cultural Revolution in the 1960s, Manchu cultural traditions and historical heritage were condemned as remnants of feudalism and systematically destroyed. Family genealogies preserved for generations were burned. Historical records written in the Manchu language turned to ashes. The language of an empire survived only as faint memories among a handful of elderly speakers. Today, the Manchus are officially recognized in China as the ethnic minority known as the Manzu. Their population now exceeds 10 million, with most living in China's 3 northeastern provinces and in Beijing, their historical homeland. Although the Manchu language is now critically endangered, with only a few dozen fluent speakers remaining nationwide, their cultural legacy has survived in unexpected ways. The Qipao Cheongsam, widely regarded today as traditional Chinese attire, originally evolved from the clothing of Manchu women. Likewise, Manchu culinary traditions have become an important foundation of modern Chinese cuisine. While preserving their ancestry, the Manchus have quietly become an integral part of contemporary Chinese society. Although the language, culture, and customs of the Jurchens have largely vanished, they laid the foundations of modern China in 2 profound ways. First, the expansion of China's territory. Before the Qing Dynasty, the Ming Dynasty, the last Han Chinese dynasty, controlled little more than what is commonly called China proper. The Great Wall marked its northern frontier beyond, which lay the plains of Manchuria and the Mongolian steppe. Lands outside the effective reach of Ming administration, the Ming Empire covered roughly 3.5 to 4 million square kilometers, less than half the size of modern China. For the Ming, the Great Wall represented not only the boundary between civilization and the frontier, but also the limit of the empire itself. The Qing Dynasty took a fundamentally different approach. Its rulers regarded themselves simultaneously as the Emperor of China, the Great Khan of the Mongols, and the Protector of Tibet. After crossing Shanhai Pass in 1644, the Qing did far more than simply replace the Ming. They united Manchuria, first consolidated by Nurhaci, incorporated Mongolia under Hong Taiji, and later conquered Xinjiang and strengthened control over Tibet during the reign of the Qianlong Emperor. In doing so, they assembled the vast regions of Northeast and Inner Asia into a single empire. At its height, the Qing Empire encompassed approximately 13 million square kilometers. The Great Wall was no longer a frontier, it had become an internal monument within the empire. Second, the creation of a unified multi-ethnic state. In governing their enormous empire, the Qing introduced a system unlike that of any previous Chinese dynasty. The Han Chinese were administered through traditional civil institutions, the Manchus and Mongols through the 8-banner system, and Tibet through religious patronage and alliances. This pluralistic model of governance brought the Manchus, Mongols, Uyghurs, Tibetans, and Han Chinese together within a single political framework for the first time in Chinese history. The physical foundation of what modern China describes as a unified multi-ethnic state was forged during this period under the hoofbeats of Manchu cavalry. When the Qing Dynasty fell in 1912, it transferred the vast territory it had assembled intact to the newly established Republic of China. Had the Qing never expanded beyond the Great Wall, modern China might have remained a much smaller state, confined largely to the land south of that frontier. From a frontier people to the architects of a continental empire, the Manchus redrew the political map of East Asia. The borders they established have outlived the empire itself and continue to shape the geopolitical landscape of Northeast Asia today. From a small frontier tribe to the rulers of a vast continent, the Jurchens transformed the course of history. Nurhaci's dream, which began with only 13 suits of armor, grew into an empire that endured for 3 centuries. The empire has vanished, but the legacy it left behind, its history, institutions, and cultural influence continues to occupy a monumental chapter in the story of Northeast Asia.